So, who ruined Christmas morning and how did they do it? My granddaughter told me the cat had blood on its mouth. It had been losing weight. I managed to open his mouth, and there was a large lump on one side, bleeding and smells terrible. Everything I've read on the internet points to cancer. I am going to beg the vet to get us in tomorrow. If the internet is correct, her cat will most likely be put to sleep. I am heartbroken she can't stop crying. I don't currently have a job, but he needs to be seen. I can't stand seeing him suffer. If we can't get him into our vet, the only other one is super expensive. I am heartsick. My long-term partner dumped me after I called them out on not getting me a present. I have been planning for weeks to get them exactly what they wanted, and when I gave it to them, I obviously asked for my present. They said they didn't get me one, and when I got upset they told me I had no reason to get upset and hated when I complained about things like that. Then they dumped me. Honestly, I feel kind of relieved but still hurt. It was a relationship I wasn't allowed to have feelings in. So tired of walking on eggshells and being shut down when I try to communicate. My parents and I have had a strained relationship since I was a kid. I live out of state, and I am not able to make it every year. This is the first time since the pandemic I've been able to make it down. Dinner was at their house this year. They made a shrimp boil. I'm allergic to shellfish. Have been since I was 14. This is the second time in a row they've done it. As a note, I didn't say anything or make a scene. It's not worth it at this point. I ate what I could quietly, and I'm certainly noticed, but as is their way, they didn't say anything. Divorced and live in a small town pop 700. My extra has moved on and I'm hosting my 3 kids, spouses and 2 young grandkids. My daughter thought that 23andMe kits would be the perfect gift for the whole family. We received them in October and promised we would look at the results on Christmas Eve. Long story short, only one of the 3 kids is mine. My youngest got married last year to a beautiful local woman and they are trying to get pregnant. Turns out they are first cousins, so now what the fuck do they do? What do I do? What do we all do? Kids came bounding into the bedroom at 5 a.m. 2 of mine, 2 of GF I lived with. Ages 8 to 12. They're excited. GF freaks out. Starts screaming at all of them. Crush Christmas and forces them to sit in their rooms for another hour. In my mind I am done. Fully realize this is my last Christmas with her. Get up and tend to all the kids. She joins us a half hour later tossing the presents and generally being a monster. That was 19 years ago. I left a few months later. Never regretted it. Enjoyed Christmas each year with my kids. Drove 4 hours to spend the day with my dad at his request 3 weeks ago, then immediately after lunch, not even dinner, he said he and his new girlfriend of 4 weeks were invited to a friend's dinner and were going there. My drive was longer than the time he spent with me at his house. So now I'm watching Christmas movies and drinking with my grandma instead. After trying to fix our relationship that's been rocky since I was a teenager, now in my 30s, it's great to realize he truly doesn't care. Embarrassed smiley face, embarrassed smiley face, embarrassed smiley face. My husband, we've been separated for 6 months, begs and cries to come over Christmas Eve so he can see the kids open presents in the morning. I say yes with the understanding that he and I will not fight or be alone in the same room to avoid arguing and ruining the kids' Christmas. Of course he proceeds to pick fights with me and tell the kids I am keeping the family part. So, in conclusion, I ruined Christmas by allowing this and have never been so disappointed in my own judgment. Last week my husband picked up his parents from the airport after their European trip. They were sick and didn't tell him. 4 out of 6 people in my house have COVID. My oldest couldn't come home from college, she had to go to my sister's. I avoided COVID for 4 years and my in-laws' carelessness ruined the streak. And Christmas. I didn't even get to finish shopping. And I miss my daughter. And I wonder how many folks on their flight also had a ruined Christmas courtesy of them. It was a joint effort. My in-dog rolled onto his back for a belly rub and shot a stream of urine into the air and all over my arm and my pants. After I cleaned up enough I had to sit next to my unpleasant uncle. The first thing he asked me was, when are you going to make me a granduncle? I told him it could happen today as long as he is cool with being an accessory to kidnapping. He didn't have much to say the rest of the morning. My spouse ruined it by looking at dating sites on their PC in the dining room, in full view of basically anyone who would walk by their computer. My 10-yo saw it, brought it up to me, and asked me to ask them to leave ASAP, because the only time they do it is when I'm not here. They decided to deny and deflect, and are refusing to respect the boundary of could you just not do anything like that where the kids can see. When I was 5, my dad offed himself on Christmas Eve night. Woke up and saw presents under the tree, went to wake up my dad? And well, he didn't. My parents got divorced and it was his weekend, it was just us two. Many hours went by before my mom and police showed up. That was over 30 years ago and I remember everything about that day, so I'd say he ruined everyone ever since. He used alcohol and pain pills. Over the past 18 years, the majority of my Christmases have been made terrible, or at the very least, terribly uncomfortable by my brother and whichever woman he is with at the time. This year, my brother put his kids alone on a plane to spend the holiday with just me, my husband, our kid and her family, her husband and baby, and my parents. It was the best Christmas I've had in nearly 20 years. My mom told everyone that there's not going to be any more babies in the family anyway, so my sister can throw away my son's crib. I am actively trying to get pregnant and have been taking steps and working on my health to make it happen, as I had cervical cancer last year and a few other uterine issues. And for those wondering, yes, she and everyone else in the room is aware of all of this. Me. I woke up sick. Ran to the bathroom to throw up almost as soon as we unwrapped. Knock on wood, but I'm starting to feel better. Plenty of fluids. Got left out of the traditional Habichi dinner, but they'll be bringing me some egg drops. Oop! The dog is curled up at my feet. I finally get to watch the first 2 Home Alones, because no one else in my family loves them like I do. My sister telling my other sister that for every second she spends in the room trying to wake her up will result in 30 minutes of more bedtime. They are 28 and 30 and going from dad's house to mom's house for more Christmas. And then 28-yo calls me to complain like I'm not doing my own Christmas morning with my husband and son 2,000 miles away. Merry ducking Christmas to these adults, lol. I did. Spending it in the hospital with a kidney infection, sepsis, 2 nephrostomy tubes coming out of my back, and more complications. My family came up to visit this morning and they were turned away before even getting to my room because they were positive for fevers, sniffling, or coughing. They wasted a 4-hour round trip and weren't able to see me for Christmas. Grandparents told everyone how they get one person something really nice each year and that it was finally my turn. They gave me the really nice big green egg and patio desk I was saving for. Then after they looked real nice to everyone and everyone else was gone, they told me it was actually a loan and I would need to pay them to keep it. I told them to fuck off. My husband by telling me at dinner that he should have been informed of all my mental health problems before we got together. He said this after I've spent the previous 3 hours preparing the dinner he was eating. The irony is he's chronically ill and hasn't worked since 2014. Most of my current mental health issues come from being his caregiver and breadwinner. My BF being in a shit mood because he didn't get his kids this year and didn't have the decency to tell me he wasn't celebrating. I didn't get my kids for Thanksgiving and wasn't a bitch about it. We both didn't have them last year, so it's not like I don't understand. A heads up would have been nice. Now lead to a huge fight and me crying most of the day. Me, I'm broke. So broke that I decided against going to my brother's house for Christmas cause I always catch something when going there and I can't afford to go to the doctors, so I decided with so much sickness floating around to stay home to avoid illness cause I just don't have the funds to go to the walk-in clinic and whatever they would prescribe. I did sort of. Moved across the country without a job lined up to pursue my dreams. No one has been hiring all month due to the holidays. Wasn't expecting my holiday season to be on the brink of my finances and constantly worried about money. But hey, it's an adventure. December 27th I have my first interview, so maybe New Year's will be better. Norovirus. Was up all night with a vomiting 6-year-old and I had to sleep on the floor in their room. He last vomited about 4:30 a.m. today. Stripped the vomit covered sheets and showered him in the middle of the night because he was covered. My hips are killing me from sleeping on the floor. Merry Christmas! My mother-in-law decided to overwhelm our 3-year-old son with shit quality gifts in epic quantity. We were adamant in telling her she couldn't go overboard. He got so fatigued from opening things he broke by dinner time that he didn't open any of his minimal gifts from us and from Santa. It was so disappointing. I feel like a spoiled brat for saying this at my age, but I woke up to an empty house. No tree because I didn't put one up, no family, no special food, not a single gift. Just me and my dog, confused face. We spent the day snacking on leftovers from the fridge and watching TV. All while being laid off from my job on Friday. I woke up at 4 a.m. to pee and heard my aging, blind dog wandering around. I made it to the living room just as he started to piss in the middle of the floor. As I scooped him onto the pee pad, my other dog threw up. I can't blame them, they're both old as hell, so in the spirit of Christmas past I'll blame myself. Ellen at my mom's work. She went to the Christmas lunch sick, turned out she had COVID and now so does my mom and 3 other colleagues. Because of Ellen at least 6 high-risk people have been exposed and all 3 family Christmases are cancelled. I'm extremely fucking unimpressed with your work ethic, Ellen. My dad telling me, a white mom, that I'd better not make my daughter black look ghetto with cornrows. She's 13 months old and he hasn't held her, barely acknowledges her. Prob BC she's black and I'm finding out more and more how racist he is. He won't be back to my house now. He's 89 and he can piss off. We had a close call. Was preheating the oven this morning for breakfast and was unaware my partner had put a baguette in the oven wrapped in plastic. Fortunately we're in a warm place so we were able to air out the place pretty easily and nothing caught on fire. Just a bit of melted plastic. My fiancé. Our second Christmas together, but we've known each other since we were kids. Last year we were T-boned on our way to my parents and spent the day in the hospital. This year he told me he doesn't believe in Christmas anymore and didn't buy any gifts and wouldn't be opening any gifts. My husband's mouth suddenly got very small and tight. His jaw started moving back and forth. His eyes got wide. He got very talkative and like the whole world was hysterical and only went to the garage for less than 5 minutes and I knew. Every moment after that was tainted. And sad. Our senior blue heeler acted really out of it today after breakfast and potty. Just got home from putting him to sleep. Bone cancer. He had a good run, 15 years. I don't blame him for ruining Christmas. It was an honor to be his people. Heartbroken. But Christmas was in fact ruined.